What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Classic Physique Radio. We got me and Jarek here, and then our two special guest hosts are Niall and Jay. How are you guys?
Good man, good.
What time is it in the UK for you right now? It's
It's
what, 10?
10:30.
Yeah. Do you know Zach Leeson?
Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
He's out this way right now, and he has been sleeping on a Texas schedule. So like
Yeah.
he's always 6 hours different. So he's up like most of the night. It's hilarious. It'll be like fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. He's playing video games.
Yeah. When I was in Dallas after Tampa, and then coming home, that was a rough one.
So it honestly worked out great that he already kind of keeps that schedule because he just kind of came over and seamlessly went into it. Are you in that same area? What part of the UK are you in?
No, so I'm in Manchester. It's like northern England.
Oh, okay.
It's
Cool.
colder.
It's colder.
It was
He
cool.
said it was like, yeah, he said it was like 1 degree Celsius when he left.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I always appreciate doing shows and events out there just because the weather's so much better.
Well, the biggest thing for me is I'm glad he's here 2 weeks early because he competes
Mhm.
and he's going from like 1 degree Celsius to like 90
Yeah.
degrees Fahrenheit with humidity in Texas. It's a bit of a different story here.
Yeah, was that something that you and your coach kind of had in the forefront? Like, hey, we got to get here early and
He's been doing it for a while, so he kind of already had that in his head of like I'm going to be there 2 weeks ahead of time. And his mom came with him, and there's a hotel right behind destination. And he's literally like walking distance from the gym, so he's just kind of been here, and it's now Camp Bagley for the weeks or the next 2 weeks. So it'll be fun, man. Jay, where are you at right now? Are you still in Austin?
No, I'm actually living in Abilene, Texas right now.
Okay, okay. Now Abilene, are we middle of nowhere in Abilene?
yeah, that's different.
Abilene is pretty much the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're about like 2.5 hours from Dallas. So we got like the absolute recomps and stuff, not too
Okay.
far. I want to go travel and have a nice gym and stuff like that to train at. But for the most part, man, like there's not much out here in Abilene. So, we're coming up from San Antonio. That's where me and my fiance both are from originally. That's what
Okay.
we're saying. So we came out here because she got into pharmacy school. So I moved out here with her. And it's been a bit of an adjustment, but it's been cool, man. Like we're both very homebody people. She's got the school thing going, so she's locked in there. I got the bodybuilding thing going, and that's kind of like Groundhog Day over and over and over. So it's actually kind of nice not having all these temptations of like San Antonio's food city, and we're both big foodies. So out here, there ain't nothing but like Raising Cane's and Whataburger to make you feel wild and go out there and get get something.
Bro,
So
you want to talk about some flavor? That fucking cane sauce. My
Hey,
God.
honestly,
Now's UK brain can't comprehend what cane sauce is.
I,
Like
I,
it
had, I
just
had cane sauce last year in LA.
did
know,
you? Yes.
I
Oh.
like I like 2 a.m.
Okay, so now I got to ask you, what did you think?
Yeah, you were right. Mind blown.
it's a game.
Dude, I would legitimately like drink that stuff. You can ask them for they will literally give you a like I think it's a 24-ounce cup filled with it. You have to pay for it, but you can literally get a soda cup filled with the cane sauce if
Nick,
you want to go crazy. Just
yeah,
letting you
Nick, you
know.
went a little too far, Nick.
What's that?
I said you went a little bit too far now. We ain't
No, no,
drinking.
see, that's not me. One of my homies sent it to the group chat. That's how I figured out it was in there.
That's a real caniac right there, man. If you're getting
That's
sauce.
Dude, I
Have you
would.
tried In and Out when you were here in LA?
No, I haven't tried In and Out.
Oh,
It's on our
man.
list
We
though.
got it.
IHOP's on the list next.
You gotta have In and Out, man.
In and out's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, the argument is always that the fries suck, right? But the thing for me is I can go to In and Out, eat a lot of food, and feel fantastic in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
My stomach doesn't hurt. I don't feel like shit. I'm not having trouble going to the bathroom. I can walk away from it and go, I actually feel good.
Yeah, you gotta have it. You gotta have it fresh, man. You gotta have it fresh.
Oh, for sure. Eating it there is the way to go. You go 10 minutes down the road, those fries might as well be garbage.
Oh yeah. Soggy as hell.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get Niall some In and Out when he's out here. Does Vegas have In and Out?
I believe so.
I
I'm
think
pretty
it
sure
does.
they do.
Yeah, I think they
I
do.
truly don't remember if I'm being honest.
They should. Yeah.
But so let's get into some classic physique talk here. So Jay, you're just coming off a couple of shows here, and I saw your post the other day. You're kind of shutting it down for the season, right?
Yeah. So man, I've been in prep since a little even before November of last year. for Detroit. So that was the first time
Right.
and was the Detroit Pro. So we started that at around 22 weeks out. You know, it was me and Justin's first prep, so we wanted to have some good time together to be able to figure my body out and stuff like that. So started in November, did Detroit. We were thinking about some shows right after, but you know, San Antonio kind of popped up. This was before the rule change, of course, and all that. So San Antonio was a qualifier for 2026 Olympia. It was like one of the first shows that popped up. So it's in the backyard, made sense. So that's what we were kind of going for. And then we always had RGV in the back pocket too, just in case, you know, I was ready early. So ended up pretty much taking advantage of that rebound. So I never really had like time off, really, to be honest. It was just, you know, straight on that rebound diet, staying strict, trying to make the most, you know, progress that I could have in that rebound setting, which we really did. And I was super happy with it. And then we started prep for San Antonio around 15 weeks out, ended up getting ready pretty early. So we ended up just jumping into RGV. Body felt really good compared to Detroit. So, you know, we were like, why not? It's right there in McAllen, not too far of a drive. So another hometown kind of show in Texas. So we ran it there, and that was a very, very, very different look from stuff I brought in the past. That was like pretty much as blasting full as I could get, which, you know, the judges and honestly feedback from that, everybody really, really liked that look from me. So that was really cool to bring that because I've never really been that full on stage ever. So that was something new for me. Felt really cool to be there. But obviously, feedback from that was to come in sharper and tighter. So going into San Antonio, ended up trying to come in, you know, a lot harder and drier and tighter. Ended up pushing down just a little bit too far for my body. And I think by that time, my body was just pretty much done with, you know, competing and everything and prep setting in general. So we had a rough time filling back up for the upper body, things like that. You know, peak didn't go too well, and I ended up being a little bit, for my liking and from what Bill said, was too flat on stage. So, you know, even trying to be harder and drier, just the lines didn't pop as well for me. I'm still 25, so I still miss kind of like I don't have that graininess and density that some of these mature guys have in the sport.
All
So
right, I gotta pause you right there. The fact that you look like that at fucking 25 makes me feel like shit at 32. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that right now.
thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, so like that was pretty much the only feedback. So feedback from Bill was actually really, really good because he saw me in Detroit.
Mm,
Seen me in Charlotte in 24 when I got second to Fabian, which was probably like one of my better looks probably ever. So he bases everything off of that, and you know, feedback was just structure, shape, everything is, you know, pretty much can be at that top Olympia level. Everything's there, balance and symmetry, everything's there. It's just he could tell I was off and I was flat, and he'd much rather see me a little bit more full, a little bit, you know, obviously to push that muscle against the skin, show a little bit more line and density since I'm more of a rounder guy.
mhm.
So kind of play more to that strength rather than just kind of suck down just to be stupid peeled for
What
kind
was
of.
the weight difference from RGV to San Antonio?
So weigh-ins, I was 206, like 206.4. So on stage, I was around like 207.5, almost 208. And then San Antonio, I weighed in at like 201 fully clothed. So probably
Wow.
199-ish, somewhere around there. And then I got on stage around like 200,
Okay.
200.5. So it was
Okay.
a pretty drastic difference.
Yeah.
But it was cool to bring like, you know, kind of two completely different, like almost three
Right.
completely different looks this year. So it was just kind of getting feedback, getting data, seeing what the judges like, what they don't like. And it kind of all seems to lead to the point of where they like a good balance for me. So obviously my shape and my roundness, my round muscle bellies are my strength. So they want to see that and to not get sucked down too far, but also to hit that peak just right to where I'm still round and full, but also hard enough to showcase, you know, the details and lines that I have.
Right. Right. And now you qualified for the Olympia at Tampa, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
I cut you off, didn't I, Derek?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
My
I mean,
bad.
this
Go ahead.
is to you know, just the judges judging you based off your best look. I mean, I know there's a lot of uh you know, he say she say about that's not the case or whatever the case may be, but and rumors and stuff like that going around, but it is true, man. I mean, you're only better than your best. Like, you know, you're not it's just is what it is. So with that being said, I guess you're just trying to still find a formula now, and you're with Prob, right?
Oh, so I basically it was a weird situation after RGV.
Okay.
You know, I worked with Justin Jacoby from after Pittsburgh in 24 coming into Detroit Pro. So we had a little bit of an off season together, did our first Detroit Pro prep. Um, you know, he's a great coach. Nothing against Justin. Things just kind of didn't click fully between us for a while. And I just, sometimes when you're just not happy and not feeling it
Why?
really,
Why is that?
it's
Hey
just,
man, we're on the podcast. Let's go. Let's dig into it. Why is that?
and it was just a differences of opinion with
Okay.
certain things. Like for my body, trying to give feedback to, again, I've been doing this since I was 20, so I'm not saying I know everything at all. I'm more of a
Yeah.
guy that like, if coach says something, I salute it and I just do it. I don't really think about it. But kind of just, sometimes as an athlete, when you see things kind of going south or just not the way that you envision it, you kind of you want to bring something up and see if you can kind of understand why you're doing something with a coach or why something's not working or, what can we do to get better. And I just feel personally like when I would bring something up, like just for an example, I don't really do well with super high fat. I never really have. So past coaches before, we'd keep fat pretty moderate or low. And that's when I would make a lot of changes in a prep. And Justin's method, obviously being kind of like with the Jansen team and stuff like that, it was a lot higher fat approach. There was the high days with 100+ grams of fat, burger and fry at the end of the night with 400 grams of rice a meal. You know what I mean? So just different things that would shoot my weight up like way too much. And it would take me almost a week and a half to come back down to an actual good look. So it almost like we'd be going positive, then going backwards to make up for that, almost spilling pretty much off those high days. So there was just that approach. And then sometimes, we just, communication wasn't really all there for me, especially going into RGV after Detroit. Just wasn't really the best communication possible between athlete and coach. So we just had a difference of opinion and ended up just, I was just going to kind of shut it down pretty much, going like, especially after we heard the rule change and with my body kind of feeling how it was, pretty run down after like being in prep since November. We were just going to say, hey, you know what, let's shut it down, find the right coach for me, and then kind of reset and then really find a good attack and a plan for the new rule change with everything going on. So ended up, if you know Andy, I'm sure y'all just had Andy on the podcast. So me and Andy are really cool together. He reached out to me. He was like, hey, I kind of heard some stuff going around. If you need a coach to kind of just help guide you into the show, if you still want to do it, Prob will be there and he'll help you come into that show. So I just kind of, I didn't fully trust myself, peaking myself and stuff like that for a show. I just would rather somebody have the reins and try to do the best that they can with me. I just don't feel super confident with that kind of stuff. So went ahead and said, hey, nothing, nothing can go worse, basically. So let Prob kind of deal with me from 2.5 weeks out on. And no hate towards him. He did a great job. I just think obviously, we ended up pushing too deep for my body. And then I couldn't really come back from that. Like,
Well, it's interesting how far down you went, right? Because like if the judges like the 209 look, but they needed you to be a bit tighter, like we've all seen your condition. Like you only needed a couple of pounds. Like 10 pounds was too much. And that
yeah,
that was kind of one of the things that I was looking at from pictures is like Jay's not popping the way he normally does. And it's that weird thing of like you guys know how it is if you're just a little touch flat, you look like you're not in condition, right? And we know that you're in condition, you know. Now, is that fairly similar with you? Like, do you have to be like blasting full to show your condition, or what do you typically do
Uh,
in shows?
I don't think blasting full. The only time I've done that is for Brazil that I did last year, like right after the Olympia, just because uh I had like the weight cap where I always thought I was so when I turned pro, I got told my cap was 230, which is like 234 now. And then for Toronto, I just had this, I don't know, I just had this feeling I was gonna come in like a little bit short. So I told my coach, let's just bring me in for the cap underneath because the cutoff's 182.5, and I'm always 183. And for Toronto, I actually came in at 182.4. So luckily I made weight, like I said, because I prepared for that cap. But then I went to the Olympia, and I was like 6'1¼ It was like 183 point something. So like a whole, centimeter difference. And then they fixed the caps at the Olympia, so it's 234. So I just ate into that show, and like that was a fullest I've ever been. Like the same as Jay said, it feels crazy on stage. You like you feel like an open bodybuilder, man. It's
Yeah, I was
awesome.
just gonna say that. I was like, I really felt like I was an open guy, and it felt
Yeah, it's an awesome feeling. But I had the same feedback as well. Like, just coming a little, like if I'd had that fullness with the condition I had at the Olympia, it would have been a different story. But for Tampa and for Toronto, it's like it's more of a moderate carb up. It's kind of just, get to the cap with as little time as possible. Like, don't spend too much time there, and then just kind of get back to sort of around about what 6 to 8 weeks diet is, where I'm not too flat, and I can, by the end of the day, those meals, I'm pretty full, especially if I pump up. So if I have like, 1.5 days, because for me, I just needed the size. It wasn't like a fullness thing. It was, I just needed to grow. So I feel like for Tampa, that was like a good example of, I took the time away to actually get bigger. And it's why I look so drastically different from the Olympia to then.
The one question I have, you said your cap is 180 pounds.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
No, wait, did I say that? That might be my 2 weeks out brain. No, my cap. I said. Sorry, my cap was 230.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Maybe it was there, yeah.
How much do you weigh in this here? 243. Okay, Jesus. You said 180, and I was like, oh, what
No,
the
yeah,
fuck?
honestly, that'll be.
that's the craziest 180 ever.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
I haven't been
180
180
pounds.
since I was like. I haven't been 180 in like 7 years.
I was about to say, like, that's a fucking crazy
Hey,
180.
listen, I was gonna hunt my trunks up if that was 183, bro.
You scared the shit out of me there now. I'm just gonna go ahead and let you know about that one. I was about to say this dude doesn't have
Yeah,
bones.
that's my fault, guys. My fault.
It's funny, man.
I have a question. So with you bringing a whole new package, you obviously put on some tissue. You and Pro Coach done a hell of a job, like you guys always have been. And so basically, what is something different that you guys have implemented this time around, or were there anything? So basically, were you dealing with a different body? You know what I mean? With the added tissue.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really anything different. I'd say the one thing that was weird was like because I was that much bigger, like certain body parts didn't come into condition right up until the end. So I was a little bit worried, like I do trust Cal because he's never steered me wrong. Ever since I worked with him, everything we set out to do, we've completely achieved. But it was like weird, being like when my body was in like the low 230s and like high 220s, getting ready for a show, like different body parts, like my quads would always be the first thing to come in. And then for Tampa, they were like the last thing, like obviously their condition was good, but like 1.5 weeks out, they weren't quite there. And I think it's just, because I was quite big in comparison. I was just carrying a bit more inflammation, from the cardio, from the steps, from obviously lifting more. And it's like it can kind of play mind games with you that way, because it's like I was like 247, 246, and like fully straighted glutes, like cross striations in my hamstrings. Then like from the front, it's like like separation all through the pecs, delts, midsection. But then my quads were like not quite there, and it's just because they were carried, they were a lot more tired from walking around at that body weight, and then obviously just being tired from a prep as well. So it was more like he kind of knew what to do with it, because he'd seen me in person, he'd seen how much I'd grown, and for me it was just more what I was used to last year, and then kind of telling myself that doesn't really matter now because we're in a different place.
That's always one of the scariest parts of like going into the last couple of weeks. You're like, all right, I know they're going to be better than this when I pull stress, but like how much better?
Yeah.
And then when it finally changes, you're like, thank fucking God. Like,
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So Jay, you've moved into health phase. Everything's kind of done now. Like you're completely done for the season, correct? Or at least for this part of the season.
Yeah, for this tail end of the season, I'm pretty much done. Right now, I'm just kind of honestly taking a pretty much needed reset.
Yeah.
Kind of away from bodybuilding, everything that comes along with it, the social media stuff, the coach stuff, everything that's been kind of going on in my life.
Yep.
So just honestly, right now, I'm just kind of doing my own thing, just handling my own little, health phase, rebound.
Right.
Just even with training, I'm really big on training. Training is like everything to me. So it's super easy for me to come back to a show motivated as hell and already, I work with Eddie Shepherd, so already be hitting Eddie up for training. Like, hey, what are we gonna do to attack this season? I already start right away the week after, going crazy. So I'm just reeling it back a little bit, and like even with the training right now, just keeping some reps in reserve, reps in the tank, just having fun with it, just getting a little pump, getting in, getting out, you know, enjoying some meals with my fiance, and the family and stuff like that, and just letting my mind clear and stuff from this whole entire season that's gone on, and I
Yeah.
think it's been really beneficial. We're getting married here soon in Italy. Me and my fiance coming up in the spring. So
All right. Shit.
that's super, super exciting. So we're gonna take a little, you know, I need to give back. She does so much for me. Huge. This is just a quick shout out to her. Like, obviously nobody sees the behind the scenes with all that kind of stuff with our wives or girlfriends or people behind the scenes that help us with everything. But man, I couldn't do half of what I do without this girl. Like, she's full-time student and she's over here cooking every single one of my meals, getting all my chicken ready, everything like that. Everything's done, prepped, seasoned. She's looking at my pictures in the morning still, right when we wake up, giving me feedback on that because she's the only person that sees me every day. So I value her opinion. And she knows a thing. She may not compete, but she knows a thing or two about bodybuilding now because she's been in it.
That's how that always works.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They start becoming experts on the side, and next thing you know, you're like, "What the? How did you know that?"
Yeah, she's like a mini aceto. Like sometimes, like she's like, "You need to eat up today," and I'm like, "What do I eat?" Oh, try adding 50 grams of rice to this meal and this meal. I tried. I'm like, how the hell did you know that?
You got a coach in home, man. What are you doing?
Yeah,
You do a Samson, man.
Yeah.
Just
going.
full
So,
trigger.
There's just going to be a full wives club of coaches here before long. But
so it's been crazy, man. So like, she's just awesome. So gonna give a lot of my time back to her. Kind of just reset and stuff like that. And I think
super smart, man.
a lot of us deal with a lot of mental stuff in this game. Don't really always talk about because social media is very one-sided. Everybody highlight reel that we put out there, and nobody knows what goes on, behind the scenes at all.
Yep.
We really not. Some of us talk about it, some of us don't, but everybody only cares about what you post on your physique and how you look.
Yep.
They don't really care about the actual person behind the screen.
That was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about because you had made that post about like kind of feeling a little burnt out and that kind of thing. And someone else that's going through that right now and talking about it openly is Hunter, right? Like he went through that and he was talking about that with Hollingshead and Justin Shire the other day. And I've seen him kind of go through what he's been going through and him to finally like tell everybody like this is where I've been, this is how I've been feeling. And one of the top 10 Olympians in the world going, yeah, I really hated bodybuilding for a little while. Like that right there, I don't think people let the impact of settle in. Like a guy who has spent his entire life to become one of the best bodybuilders in the world now hates the thing that he has literally done his entire life doing, right? And I think like the fact that you're recognizing that at 25 is fucking kudos to you, man. There's so many kids your age that like I coach and things like that it's like they don't understand when sometimes you just need to take a fucking break. I need to sit in the corner and just twiddle with my fucking thumbs for a little bit, not think about anything. And
that's
it's
exactly what's needed. And it's like, again, with exactly with what Hunter went through, like that's the same thing I kind of went through. Like, not to get into full details of everything, but like, I used some stuff in this, certain preps that, I never wanted to use. And I never thought morally and my belief system, I never would, I was like, I'll never do that. But I'm so lost in, the social media hype and, this kid's going to go far if he just nails it and this and that. And that I was like, fuck it. No, I'll do whatever. Like, I said I wasn't going to do this. What's it going to do to me? And it like, it was things that I never wanted to use and touch. And I ended up doing it. And then I look back, like when the show's done, everything's clear. And I'm like, man, what the hell did I do? Like, for what? You know what I mean? And I still didn't even get the result that I, desired.
Yep.
Like,
I
man,
see Niall.
myself.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I see Niall smiling about that too, and I was gonna
Oh
kind of
man, it
direct the
was
question
like,
his way. Like
yeah,
I know the same conversation is being had, right? How old are you, Niall?
I'm 27 now, but like
Jesus Christ.
yeah, so when I was like going into the Olympia last year and all that is like, it was 26. You know, so it's, but I know what Jay's talking about and the whole like burnt out thing. Luckily for me, like I observe a lot of bodybuilders, and like rather than trying to do things right or copy them, I actually look at what people did wrong or like what I don't want to end up like, and I'm like, okay, how did they get there? How do I avoid that? So like after the Olympia, I was burnt out as well, especially after going straight to Brazil. Brazil's is a crazy experience because just how they see bodybuilding and treat bodybuilders, is the same as any other like high level professional sport out there. So I came back and I really needed a mental reset as well. I was just absolutely exhausted and burnt out, and like just tired of like people making posts about me every like 1 to 2 days. And then like there's comments and like some of them are in Spanish saying they fucking hate me. Some of them are in Brazilian. Like it was a lot. I dealt with the same thing with Tampa, right? Because Mateus is Brazil's golden boy. But yeah, like I made sure after that season I spent time away, and like I kind of made it a focus in the last prep on this one to have like actual hobbies and things that took my attention away from bodybuilding. It makes it so much more successful, man. Like I feel like that's like Jay said, social media kind of presents bodybuilding that way, where like you sit in your room like Jay Cutler, like just thinking about bodybuilding until it's time for your alarm to go off and train. And then you just sit there and wait for the next meal. Like it'll make you insane, like you can't perform. Maybe some people can, but most of us can't perform at our
For
highest level, or you can't forever anyway. Like I used to be like that when I was younger. And then once you have, more eyes, more expectations, more obligations from sponsors and stuff, like it's just you really do need that downtime. Like
Yep.
you'll either be forced into it or you can choose to take it yourself.
for all the bodybuilders out there, a hobby is something that is not weightlifting related.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No, no gyms. Like it also isn't like just watching bodybuilding videos on YouTube either. That is not. That is not a hobby.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like just what Niall said, like that was pretty much my hobby, and it took me this whole year to figure that out. Like my other hobby would be literally a podcast in my ear every time I'm walking around the apartment, every time I'm in the car. It's all about bodybuilding or something with bodybuilding. I'd be glued to my phone, just watching the shows and seeing everybody compete and this and that, and it was all just bodybuilding. You know what I mean? And then, in these talks with my fiance and stuff now, it's like, which I'm curious too now. By the way, after I finish, like, what kind of hobbies you had or picked up to kind of get through that too, kind of get out of the bodybuilding rut. But for me, it's like, not to get all Jesus-y on everybody, but I'm I grew up Catholic, so I do have my faith and stuff like that. And sometimes you just get so caught in the whole bodybuilding and everything that everything gets put on the back burner. So for me, it was really, really, especially coming to Abilene and not having that anything really to do. So we kind of just fell back in the church a lot together, started praying more, which I'm going to continue to do now. And then also just like, I grew up playing football and sports and stuff like that. Football was the biggest thing for me. I wanted to play college, all that good stuff. So I coached a little bit after high school football too, as well. So like that was like a huge love for me. And like, I've gotten so far to the point of like getting stuck in the bodybuilding rut of things that I didn't even care about watching football on TV anymore. And that like, you couldn't get me away from football, even when I first started bodybuilding, you know what I mean? So that was something now that like, now I'm sitting back here watching college football, we're already planning things to go to, a Cowboys game here soon. And, now I'm figuring out like, man, I missed football. I missed, the other side of sports and stuff like that that I loved. That wasn't just bodybuilding. And it feels so good to kind of take that step back and finally find that again. because bodybuilding will always be there. So I wanna explain that to, especially the younger crowd. You know, I started bodybuilding at 20. You know, I came up very early. I won junior nats at 22. So, you know, and then I immediately got off the junior nat stage, and everybody rushing you like, you're only 22, bro. You're gonna be the next C-bum. And you know, I'm 22 years old, and like, I was like, holy hell, like, am I? I don't know. Like, that's crazy to have all these people tell me that. And, you know, all that gets put in your ear, and then you just want to like go, 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 go. There's no stopping. It's like I had no breaks. You know, even date nights with Maddie and stuff like that, I would put off because I had to stay perfect in off season. There was no, I had to like Niall was saying with the Jay Cutler mentality, I had to live in that box because that's what quote unquote the greats did. You know what I mean? They didn't have a life, they didn't have nothing. But you know, there is something outside of bodybuilding. And I think when, again, like Niall was saying, when you find that and you find that good balance between both, you become an even better bodybuilder at the end of the day.
But I think too, man, a lot of the old school era, like it was portrayed that way. And I think it's because there wasn't really social media to really shed light on the other aspects as well.
Yeah.
I think it can be misleading to this generation that all they were doing was just sitting down, just thinking bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know what I
The
mean?
thing is as well, like every generation of a sport gets better, right?
Yeah.
So imagine some of those guys would probably, I mean, you know, like Flex Wheeler talks about his mental health and things like that, you know, and at times when he hated bodybuilding or it wasn't going, you know, quite the way he wanted it to. And it's like, you know, maybe if he'd taken a break and a step back, maybe he would have enjoyed it more. Maybe he would have, you know, even achieved even greater than what he did achieve. But the mindset that they had right then, all the mentality was just, you know, just like so aggressively like one track minded. And, you know, obviously athletes develop over time. And I think probably all the best. I mean, I've just seen a video of Samson earlier today saying this is the best prep he's ever had because he's, you know, spent time away from just doing all out bodybuilding. And if that's, you know, that's the best bodybuilder on the planet right now saying that.
And listen, I just got my PS5 and I just crazy. Your
Hey,
wife will tell you, man, I've
look,
been going.
you want to talk about some video games? You need to download fucking Hell Divers and come kill some bugs with me, man.
Divers?
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
down
dude.
with it, bro, because you said
So-
the last.
But Jarek, I have a question for you specifically on this because I'm curious to see your thoughts on it as well. You know, being a dad as well, do you think that being a parent is one of those things that can kind of help you get away from so much fitness and bodybuilding and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, to answer that straightforward, if you allow it to, right? Because there are some. I was even struggling with it myself. I'm not going to sit here and say I was perfect at the beginning. I really didn't know how to juggle the two. I really didn't know how to manage time, quality time, and still feel like I'm giving my best foot forward and trying to be the best athlete in the world or beating top 5 or make it to the Olympia. It was definitely a hard route for me, and it took experience to get to where I am today. Like there's no handbook, you know what I mean? And it took me to a point where I hit my breaking point, similar to you guys. I never really spoke about this, but there was a time where I did hit a really hard point. Not too long ago, maybe like about 3 or 4 months ago. I broke down in the shower. I just felt so much pressure. I felt like I wasn't being the best dad. I felt like I wasn't being the best bodybuilder. I had the gut issue that I was going through. Finally, I'm over that, but everything just kind of just crashed, and I literally just crashed out in the shower, bro. And I'm not a really emotional guy, but it took all of that to get me there, and I knew something wasn't right. So I had to take a step back and do some reflection and figuring out why I felt this way. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is just due to expectations. And that's what I've learned through it all. And the value that I can give to you guys is just if you can just let go of all expectations, like of trying to be the next C-bum, of trying to make it to Olympia at 25, 26, 27, and trying to do all these things that people are trying to push onto you, it just makes you feel a lot better. It takes a lot of stress off your back. And just understand that you're giving your best is all you need. So for me, now what I do is I just make sure that when I can be there, that I'm there and I'm present, and I make sure that I'm present 100%.
Yep.
And when I can't, I don't beat myself up about it because it is what it is. Because I'm also a full-time coach, right? So I'm a full-time coach. I'm a full-time athlete, and I try to be the best dad I can possibly be. So.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely an important thing that you said there at the end of like everyone else's expectations. Like you can't live up to that. And, you know, it's a cool thing for like Jay for people to come up to you and be like, oh, you're going to be the next C-Bum. Like that's cool at 22, right? Niall, I'm sure you had similar comparisons to other competitors who were really good and that kind of thing. But like that's really cool. But at the same time, it's like, no, I'm going to be the first me, right? Like that those people are awesome, but I'm going to be the first me, right? So like yeah, you know that guy now, but I'm going to be something different, right? Regardless of what that looks like. Like success isn't necessarily having however many millions of followers that CBum has, right? Like that's not really what success is. It's all a matter of what it is in context to you guys, you know. And
there's no
what's that?
there's no deadline either.
Right.
That's another thing too. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And like the pressure of you guys being 25 and 27 is like everybody expects you to like next year all of a sudden be this thing. And it's like, guys, like, why can't I just enjoy being this fucking good at 25 and 27? Like
Yeah, man.
if
It's
as long
like
as I keep yeah, go ahead.
it's like when I got back from the Olympia and you know people are like, oh, you know, 11th is okay. I'm like, bro,
11th,
like
11th is
no,
okay.
no British guy, no British pro in Classic has ever placed 11th. Like I'm doing better than everyone else in the country, and
That's
people are
the
still like, oh, it's you know,
that's going to be the title
okay.
of that's the title of the episode. 11th is okay.
Yo,
It's like, you know, if it was a regular pro show, I'd be like, okay, fair enough, man. But damn, like, you know, Sebum was still there, you know, Wesley, all as if, you know, Urs was still there. Like, it's not, yeah, I definitely understand that. It's like, you know, I was really proud of that accomplishment because I didn't
Fuck
go
yeah.
into that Olympia. I just wanted to place. Like, that was the whole, and I remember being backstage and, you know, there was like, I think it was 58 guys last year. I'm looking at everyone pumping up, and I remember in my head, I was like, I must have been smoking crack to think that I'm gonna place. Like, holy shit.
Was
Look,
that your first Olympia?
yeah. I was like,
Okay.
these guys, you know, because I've been in the UK for most of my career. I haven't met any of these people like ever. I've never seen, the only people I've seen was Wesley, because he did the Arnold UK that I did, and Michael de Bull. That was it. So I knew all those guys, and obviously they'd improved from them. But you know, seeing everyone else, and then like seeing people who I kind of forgot were qualified as well, and they, you know, they look fucking incredible. It's like 30. I remember there's like 30 guys that were like in my head were like in the top 15, you know. So, and then there's another 30 guys as well.
But it's a hell of an experience that I think everybody should experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I know they were telling like, yeah, we see the talk with Sean Ray and how he's saying like Earth shouldn't do Olympia and but I feel like he should experience that. You don't know what's gonna happen the following year.
We've got 2.5 weeks, bro. Like,
you know,
he should
already
just
in
do it,
shape.
you know. It's like 2.5 weeks of lift. He's gonna need to recover anyway. Like, it's gonna have to happen. He's gonna have to, you know, have that downtime. So he can go and do the Olympia after that win. You know, it's not gonna affect his career or his physique progression to go and do that.
Yep.
You know, if it was in 20 weeks, then maybe.
Right. Yeah, he's already in shape. Just do the thing and see what happens. Because like you said, it like the classic, there's 30 guys that we could fit into the top 15. It's the same way with open right now, where it's like, Jesus Christ, you know? But bringing up that point of like seeing that many people backstage, it's a good transition into talking about the new rules for this year. And you know, I can see if I can find the post. I don't remember where it was, but somebody did the math on how many guys would be on stage this year if 2026's rules were in play. And it was like in the 40s, right? And this season, I think we're going to have like 70 fucking people, right? So either one of you guys, whoever wants to start, what do you think of the rules that they put in place for next year? And do you think they've gone far enough?
I mean, I guess I'll go because, you know, I was there. I mean, I think it's going to be beneficial to the athletes, first of all, because, you know, it was run very, very well considering there was nearly 60 people last year. But, you know, you get that time for a start off, you know, in front of the judges. Like, it's the Olympia, it's the one thing that we all work for. And when you have like, I don't know, 30-second, 40-second individual poses and that's it, as opposed to, and you're almost getting pushed off for the next competitors to come on. I think they had like a whole gym, backstage to pump up, and even then, that was, there just wasn't enough kit to go around for all the athletes. Whereas if you reduce it by, like you said, 25 athletes, it's going to make things run a lot smoother. Obviously the Olympia covers people's travel costs and hotel costs. So in theory, that money can maybe go back towards the athletes in a different way, whether it's some kind of production quality or just something to help the athletes. The only thing that I can see the other way, which is what my girlfriend said and a few people said was cool, was like when they were watching it, and this is a little bit more casual viewers, when they brought everyone out on stage, like when you actually get called out of that ridiculous crowd, it's like it's some aura, because it's like they're picking you out of all, and everyone looks incredible. That's like the only point that I could see. Feel like it's almost like a battle royale type of thing where
you gotta fist fight your way out of there.
Yeah.
All right, so I found it here. So this is Classic Physique. So this is how many people would be qualified. 41 athletes would be in the Classic Physique Olympia this year. There was a point that you kind of said without like necessarily trying to make it, but like you've got all these guys that you forgot about that you didn't realize were even there at the Olympia. How many guys do you think are just getting overlooked because there's such an overwhelming number of people they have to look at?
Man, that's a good question.
Yeah, either one of you, anybody else want to take it?
I know, what's his name? Tariq El-Guindi? Tarek
Mm.
El-Guindi? I know you mentioned something about his judging process. I forgot what video it was. And he made it seem like it was very simple, like how they do initial comparisons. So it's hard for me to believe based off what he does, his process, that people are being overlooked. But I can see how that could be just from just a human standpoint, how that can be very fatiguing, to look at bodies and not eventually feel just tired and almost things start to kind of blur at some point. But I don't know how much that's fact or false,
Yeah. So Jay, specifically, I'll ask you, do you think 41 athletes is enough of a cutoff?
I think for what they're doing now, obviously this is kind of like a trial run for what they're doing. So I'm sure they'll look at that, see what happens, and then kind of go from there. So I think this is just, I think it's good that they did this as a starting point, because who doesn't want to see these athletes on one hand, compete? We want to see these top dogs, in these different shows, and everybody always complains, especially with Classic Men's Physique, the big divisions with a lot of guys in it, like, oh, this guy just went to whatever, the Podunk Pro, and walked in there with 10, 5 guys there and won. Why does he deserve to be at the Olympia?
Will this be beneficial to the promoters?
So that's where I'm trying to understand, because like there's two sides of it. You can get some big guys doing smaller shows now because they may have to, because you have to get the 2 wins now if you're not doing Pittsburgh, New York, those type of shows. But from a promoter standpoint, they might be kind of pissed off because it's like none of these are Olympia qualifiers anymore.
Yeah, so they don't have that prestige.
Yeah, some of these guys might think about it in a different way and be like, whoa, if I don't have a certain, stance that I'm going to qualify for the Olympia right here, right now, why am I going to do this show? So like, there's a couple different things. Like you may see dudes, especially with New York, Pittsburgh, all those shows that are one-timers. Like you may either see a shit ton of dudes do it and see like 50 dudes in a lineup or something trying to get that one-time qualification. Or you may see guys be like, you may see 10 dudes and it'll just be like guys like Niall, Ruff, Hosema, like those big names, because people are going to be like, oh, those big names are going to do it and I'm screwed. So
just to play devil's advocate back to that, though, the thing that I think the promoters could also be looking at is, look, there's 5 shows that are now Olympia qualifiers, basically, right? Of like one and done, show up and be done. Every other show, you have to at least do 2 shows. So you're going to see more big names have to do more shows because they have to do one back to back to be able to qualify. Because you got 5 guys who are going to be able to do those single shows and go straight to the Olympia, and then you got the people who are automatically qualified. So
I mean, like, if you had it like this year, then Ruff would have took 2 of those away, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So
guys could be, yeah, like you said, the top guys.
And and to also continue the playing of devil's advocate, like look at all the shows that we've seen in the last few months. Not a single one of them has been under like 15 competitors. It's been like 20, 30 guys all in like in the middle of nowhere. So like, yeah, sure, there's probably going to be ones that fall through the crack where like a couple of guys show up and it's not that competitive. But I think long gone are the days of like easy classic physique wins. You know, and I'm not a competitor, so what do you guys think about that?
Look at like you know, a show like San Antonio. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Usually that show, you know,
Beautiful,
15,
beautiful example.
it would have 15, 20 people max, and it's mainly masters guys. And then now all of a sudden you got guys like Anton, you know, Sam Paquin, you got you know,
That was crazy.
Kylo or whatever his name is, the Russian. You got
Yeah.
all these Olympians randomly jumping into this show, and it's literally the first one of the year with this new rule.
Yeah.
So it's like if that gives you any idea of what's to come for the next season, like that should give you a pretty good idea of how tough these shows are.
Mm-hmm.
The tip of the ice right there. It's about to go crazy. I'm telling you.
So I think that's at least for me from a competitor standpoint, I think that's super exciting because, you know, at the end of the day, me as a competitor, I don't know how other guys think. Like, I want to stand next to big names. I want to stand next to these dudes, and that gives you the better idea of like, you know, I've never been one to you know, if I, God willing, qualify for the Olympia just to go and have fun and do prejudging and not go to finals. Like, that's not the way my mind works. Like, I want to be able to do shows beforehand, stand next to the big names like Grego, Wesley, Niall, you know, all these guys that are going to be top dogs at the Olympia. And then if I can compare to them and give them a run for their money and, you know, sometimes God one day beat them, then I know like, okay, this Olympia is going to be a battle. Like I'm going to be up there in the mix, hopefully with everybody. So I think this new rule is going to make that happen a lot more. You may see guys, you know, that haven't qualified that are younger coming up in the sport stand next to, you know, let's just throw a theory out there, like a big name like Hosema or something like that, and maybe make him look, you know, different next to a guy that nobody's even talked about or heard of just because he nailed it that day and everybody's like, who the hell is this guy? You know what I mean? So it gives us other athletes opportunities to make a name for ourselves too now, I think.
Yep. I figured I'd pull this up right quick because there's still between now and the end of the year. Just look at how many shows there are. So that we have 4 on the same weekend, right? All over the world. And then we've got stuff like every weekend or every other weekend until the end of the year. And this is just the beginning of qualifying for 2026. So like this is about to get ridiculous.
Even this San Diego show, like
out of state international.
you got Anton, Momsy, you got guys like Andy, you know, still doing this show. You know what I mean? And Sam Paquin doing it. So you still got big names that are already. It's been 2 shows. This will be the second show of this new rule change for the new season. It's like you already got guys like that jumping into these shows that in the past have had like maybe one Olympian show up trying to get an early qualification, and now you got 2, 3, 4 already jumping in battling for it. So I think it's really exciting, to be honest.
Yep. Yep. And this is one of the next ones coming up. This is the one in San Diego coming up. This the San Diego Pro. And again, just to continue to confirm how many people are coming into these shows. I mean, look at this fucking list, man. This is crazy.
It is wild. Yeah.
I mean, like even Bodybuilders Without Borders says that there's no weak classic shows anymore. You know, like it's going to be stacked, and you're going to have people coming out of the woodworks. You know, who's y'all's favorite going into this show?
I like Anton.
I'm gonna say Anton because I just saw him in person. I think Momsy is that dude is big, man. He's got a lot of muscle on him.
He's big, yeah.
He's got a lot of really cool attributes.
He just brings it in and
Yeah.
just comes up a little bit from the back. He can be a threat as well too.
How tall is he?
Tighten up. He's got a little bit. He's a little bit taller than me, so probably around like that 5'10"ish, 5'11".
Yeah. So he's probably around.
We have to also consider that Sam will be in this show now, right? He didn't make the last one, right? He missed weight.
I saw the last update he put on his story. That he still got like I believe 7 or 8 pounds, something like that, to lose by.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. His front shots are.
And it was crazy, man. I saw on y'all's podcast actually the last time with Andy talking about that he still trains kind of like a power lifter, which is wild. Like
Yeah.
I looked at that train, I was like, man, I'd fold in half trying to lift that like one
But
week out, whatever the hell.
the thing that we said on that podcast is I think that the powerlifting is probably not doing him a service based on like the places where he is missing things,
Yeah.
right? Like I think his back needs a lot more depth. Like he's crazy wide in his front shots and back shots, but like the physique needs depth, right? And the only way you're going to get that is through repetition and building tissue, right? Like use that powerlifting strength to now go into like some higher rep stuff. You know? Do you guys agree?
More, I guess, more intention, more
Yeah.
isolation. You know what I mean?
Better exercise selection.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't mean to go off track real quick, but I'm just curious, like, because for me as an athlete, my back has always been a weakness. And, you know, seeing Niall's back really come up from his last showing to Tampa and stuff like that this year, you know, it was really motivating and crazy. So, like, I just want to ask Niall, like, what was something you and Cal or, you know, whoever's doing your training, what did y'all do to really hone in on the back and, you know, really make those changes?
Like I mean, again, like that exercise selection, and then kind of just even more progression. Like I was like, okay, like I'm gonna have to lift weight I've never lifted before, and I'm gonna have to do that like every single week for like until Tampa. Right? I like my last full week of training before Tampa was the strongest I ever was. Like on my back, I was rowing like sixth place on the T-bar row. I think I finished my off season. I was on like 5.5 for 8. I finished for like 6 for 9, and I was like 22 pounds down or something like that. Same with my hinges. And even now, like I'm like a tiny bit stronger than I was at Tampa. But obviously, it's a standardized form. Like it's not just kind of throwing extra weight on there every week. It's like if I hadn't earned the ability to put, another play on, then I'm not doing it. But to kind of optimize that training, it was like just even better hydration going into training sessions, even better meal timings, prioritizing sleep more, and just better volume management as well. Because for me, like I get pretty tired if I have too much volume on my pull sessions very easily. And then that just kind of, over the weeks, my progression will start to dwindle or regress. So it's just even more of that, like figuring out the perfect sweet spot for my training volume to just, some points I might pull it back to continue to get stronger. At some points I might take an exercise out, like I might remove hinges, um, and just have a little bit more focus on like direct hamstring work for that kind of thing. But yeah, it was very, very specific. But like the kind of the big factor there was literally just lifting more on everything, like for it, like continuously.
I mean, we kind of talked about this with Logan Franklin on the first episode about like it can't always be about just more weight. Like especially in the classic physique division where it's like you're trying to build a flowing nice physique that's proportionate. So like do you put a lot of emphasis into like making sure you're making a good connection? Are you trying to push
Yeah,
pump? Like
yeah.
like what does that look like for you?
That's what I mean. So like that's what I was talking about with that the standardized form. Like that's like, as perfect stimulus as I can get, elbow path, things like that, or in the perfect place. Maybe I'd an exercise that maybe I enjoy more. I might take that out for something that maybe a machine, where my alignment is perfect for me. Means more chest supported. There's a couple of machines where like I love loading them up and I love that exercise, but I have better options in my gym, because my specific focus from Tampa to now was like back thickness. From the Olympia to Tampa, it was just a bigger back in general, like wider and thicker, and I managed to bring more width, like pretty significantly to my lats. And
Yeah,
obviously the
I'd say
thickness
so.
came up as well, but like Tyler said, he still wants a little bit more thickness through the back. So it's like continue doing what I've been doing with my lats and just kind of apply even more pressure to obviously all the rows and things like that.
Yep.
The fact that you are able to identify the emotional connection that you have with certain movements and that being a limitation on your progress long term is is really important, you know, and I think that's what separates a lot of the top tier guys from guys who are just trying to grow, right? Because a lot of the guys are connected to just like mostly connected to like Jay and Ronnie and how they used to train and just don't know how to separate that to
It's
what's
like when
actually.
you get a new client and you can see like a body part that sucks. So you'll, give them some certain movements, and I'll message you be like, oh, well, I feel like this other exercise was great for my legs. And it's like, well, you have shit legs, so I don't care what you feel. Your legs don't care what you feel. They still suck. Like, you're gonna have to do something else, man. Like,
I love
that's
it.
the way it is.
I love it, man. No, you're not wrong, man.
Talk your
And
shit.
And the thing there is too, that it's a great point to point out of like, look, just throwing more stuff in your training program isn't a guarantee that you're going to build tissue, right? Like, there's been a million times where somebody's come to me and like their legs aren't great or their back isn't great or whatever. And one of the things that I do with all my clients is like record your shit and send it to me. And then as soon as I see them do the first rep, I'm like, well, that's why your lats suck, right? He's not a classic physique competitor, but my client Chase, who's an amateur in the heavyweights, he has the most ridiculous delts and shoulders you've ever seen. Like they're dumb. Like it doesn't make sense. And but he doesn't have a lot of lats. Right. And like as soon as we started working together, I went and watched him at the gym. I'm like, yeah, you're pulling with your fucking shoulders and arms the whole time. Like this is why you don't have a back. And so like pulling these things back and changing these things is like now we're starting to see that shift of like he's starting to put on the tissue in the right place. So it's like just because you throw some shit into your program because this bodybuilder said that this machine helped him build his lats doesn't mean a fucking thing if you don't know what you're doing.
A lot of the times, like you said, changing something like that, that's really gonna hurt.
Hmm.
Like trying to get him to pull, not just using his biceps continuously, is gonna be really uncomfortable for him because he's not used to it. And then on top of that, he's gonna need to lift serious weight with that form for it to catch up with his huge delts, and it's gonna be really uncomfortable. Real like he's gonna be tired a lot. And a lot of people can't deal with that. It's something that as a weak point anyway, and you probably didn't really enjoy it that much. And then once you actually address that, it becomes even more uncomfortable because you figure out just how weak that body part is.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And I think whenever somebody gets the feedback of you need more back, have you ever heard anyone go, yeah, you need a lot more traps? Right? Like that's a very like I don't think I've ever heard it. So I don't know about you guys. The thing that everybody misses is lats, right? Because what they try and do is overcompensate by using their traps because they're hearing what Niall says and goes, oh, I need to train heavy, and then they start just slapping weights on shit and making it move in space, and it's like, cool, congratulations, like you made a lot of noise at the gym, but like what did you do to make yourself better? And then you have to tell that person like, hey, cut a lot of this weight off and do it like this, and like they want to fight because they're like, oh, I'm not using as much weight. It's like, yeah, what your lats fucking suck.
Yeah, you have to earn it. Like
Yeah.
I stripped back all my back stuff, and built it right back up to where it is now.
Yeah.
Like I was like 20 years old, T-bar rowing 6 plates with like zero back. You
Yep.
know?
Jarek, with you coaching athletes and stuff, when you oh man, my brain, I literally in the middle of that sentence, I just forgot what the fuck I was gonna ask. With like back, glutes, hamstrings, do you have them focus a little bit more on connection for those things because it's not something you can see?
Yeah, kind of similar to now. Like they got to earn that right to progress with load. Like if they're connecting really well at, say, if they're doing T-bar row with 3 plates and they're connecting really well, and then they move up to 4 plates, 5 plates, but they're losing that connection, and they communicate that to me, I tell them just to chop it back down because the connection is going to be more important. And over time, you'll start to be able to progress and still keep that connection and execution. So
Hmm.
kinda how I run things, man. And myself as well too. You know what I mean? Connection
Jay,
first.
what about you?
Yeah, so I was just gonna talk about like, me recently working with Eddie after Detroit. So I met him down there in Florida when I went to go see Justin, and he was, working with Justin, Blessing Awodibu. He's worked with Brett and guys like that. I think he's helped Chris a little bit too as well. So we got to talking, and we ended up linking, and he sent me that program and split, pretty much for my improvement coming into San Antonio and RGV. And Eddie's very technical. He's not like a sciencey guy, like pure sciencey, but he's a good mix and a good mesh of like what works, and then also what, you know, joint alignment, things like that he's very big on. So he sent me that split, and it was like more of a modified upper lower. So I had like delts on my leg days because my feedback.
Uh-oh.
Awesome.
So.
Well, we apparently Zoom has decided that we didn't need his feedback, but
It's on leg day.
yeah, right. Well, we'll let him come back in, but Niall, is that kind of a similar thing that you noticed with yourself as well?
Yeah, I had to kind of, especially when I first signed up with Callum, like, it was completely different. And like, his programs are super detailed and everything. Like there's like notes on how to perform every single exercise. I kind of send everything over to him anyway and track my progression that way. But it's just that like finer attention to detail, which I feel like most guys don't really like, which again, I have to talk with clients about this all the time. It probably comes from like a social media aspect of like just, seeing videos of Branch Warren, right? Like no hate to Branch, literally one of the best bodybuilders of all time. But like, that approach isn't going to work for like a 17-year-old that has no muscle. You can't just grow out, you do everything on a barbell, put as many plates as you want on it and quarter rep it. Like it's just not going to work.
Nostalgia is just a big limitation I see with a lot of guys coming up, and guys who have just major glaring weak body parts. And, it's that in itself is a mindset kind of I guess from the coaching standpoint, you got to work on that mindset first too before you kind of really dive into the training. It's tough, but yeah, that's it's crazy to see. And then also like too, to add to that, I think also like you mentioned now, like the alignment, bracing, stability, and all that, you got to take that into account as well. And then how that plays within your split and what you can recover from.
Yep.
Right. So I think all those things or components are important as well too.
Jay,
like even like
Yeah,
sorry,
my bad. My bad. My laptop died.
You're good, man. Now,
I was gonna say it's like even like sometimes mobility work and things like that. Like you'll have certain clients that can't build their lower body because they can't even get they can't get certain exercises done. Like how many guys have you been tagged in like a leg press by a client and you just want to remove the tag because it's so bad, right? Everyone's seen it, and you're like, look, I programmed the leg presses, but I didn't program this. Okay?
Now saying that like he has PTSD. He's seen this too many fucking times.
Shit, my boy talking shit because I had a couple of them tags this week.
Jay, if you want to go back to what you were saying there before it got cut off.
Yeah, so he sent me that split, and it was more of like I've always done more of like a push-pull legs type of split. So he sent me like a modified upper lower, delts on the leg day and stuff like that, because feedback was I didn't need to really grow my legs anymore, for balance sake and stuff like that. It was mainly just my back, and then a little bit more delts if I could. So I looked at it and I was like, this is different. Like, this is kind of new. This is weird. And then, I saw some of the exercise selection. I had more of like a chest and back and arm day, twice a week for volume split sake. And, some of it would be like, a cable press, lined up perfectly for, lower pec or upper pec or however we were supposed to execute it. And then, a 3-1-1 tempo with pauses in the deep stretch and all that kind of stuff that, I've always trained controlled, but not super technical like that. So, me just seeing the basics and stuff and being familiar with the basics, I was like, man, this is getting a little sciencey, right? This is getting a little nerdy. And I was like, I didn't know how to feel about it. But man, like, the way he set movements up and the way I was supposed to execute and me sending videos and feedback to him back and forth and just lining things up from, again, like Niall was saying, like a bracing standpoint and a joint alignment standpoint and doing a lot of things for my back, because I do have some trap and joint and like shoulder issues on my left side. So sometimes one side will take over more than the other. So doing a lot of single arm movement for more lat stuff to directly hit that and line it up. Like it was just an absolute game changer. And just like Niall was saying too, I reined back a lot, especially with that tempo. I had to, pull back a lot on a lot of my lifts because that shit was hard, like T-bar rowing, with, 3 plates instead of 5 or 6, because, I'm really stretching hard, and then I'm letting that stretch, I'm feeling that full stretch, I'm pausing, and then I'm knowing I'm initiating with the exact part of my back that I need to every single rep. And then even having a second pause in like the contraction, stuff like that, to know, like he would hold me accountable too. Like, with stiff legs and RDLs, or just any leg stuff, I'm very strong in general. But if he saw that I didn't pause enough or long enough, or he could tell that I was just kind of moving through reps too quickly, same thing like Niall was saying too, and y'all are saying, like, we had to earn that weight to be put on the bar for the next progression. You know what I mean? If not, he was like, I want you to progress with the way that form looks. So next time you send me this clip, he's like, I want that shit to look picture perfect with that same weight, better than last time than you showed me. So all that really, I got the whole, it was still progressive overload based, and it was lower volume based. Obviously my back had a lot more volume because I needed it, but overall it was very progressive overload, low volume. But the progression wasn't just about the weight. It was more so focused on ranges of motion, making sure that I'm firing that muscle correctly, making sure that, especially on my back, like, you can't see it, like Jarek was saying. So stuff like that, you had to make sure that you felt every single rep, and like that muscle was screaming for you to know that you connected and you nailed what you needed to. And that necessarily doesn't mean that you need to use four or five plates on everything. Sometimes you're strong enough to do that, but again, it's like usually when I went up too much, especially on, like, if it was a lat focused row or a row that I'm trying to hit more of my mid back and upper back at the same time, I could always tell my traps and my rear delts and stuff were stronger than everything else, especially than my lats. So I would end up, you would see the row end up, coming higher and higher and higher because my traps and everything are taking over, and I'm kind of shrugging rather than actually keeping everything locked and down and keeping the scapula down and retracting and everything like that. So I'll definitely say everything y'all are saying is true. Like, it's not all about weight, especially in classic physique. We're trying to build symmetrical, at the end of the day, pretty physiques. You know what I mean? We're not trying to just blow up and do the do the Branch and Jay and Ronnie approach. We're like, we're trying to make symmetrical physiques. And especially talking to Bill at this last show, because some people were confused, saying like, why did Anton get second? You know what I mean? Like, everybody was saying, he's smaller. Like, he definitely wasn't the biggest guy in the lineup by any means. You know what I mean? There was guys with a lot more muscle than him. And everybody was asking Bill, like, how did Anton move up so much? How did he get second compared to guys that are, 15, 20 pounds heavier than him? And he was like, for one, he nailed his peak morning and night. There was nothing that changed. And then he was like, second off, he's like, classic physique especially, he's like, our eyes are drawn to symmetry and shape. He's like, so for his physique, whether he was huge or not, it worked for him. Like, his symmetry, top to bottom, front to back, it fit pretty much perfectly.
Yep.
So you can argue all you want about, guys were arguing, oh, well, my guy's quads are bigger than Anton's. My guy's whatever arms are bigger. Why didn't he place higher? And Bill would say the same thing. And I was listening in, and it was just like, it's a symmetry thing. Like, our eyes are drawn to symmetry and classic physique. So, and I think Niall's a really, really good point to that. Like, yeah, he's, Niall's huge. I ain't gonna lie. Niall's a big, big boy. But it's like, the first thing is like, right when he comes out and he hits like that front double straight on, which a lot of dudes can't even hit it straight on like that. They're always twisting and turning because they don't have that shape. It's like top to bottom, you're trying to pick them apart and you can't, because it's,
well, I mean, when you have a waist,
that X frame.
When you have a waist like a wasp, it's pretty easy to hit that thing straight on. But
yeah, exactly.
To bring it back a little bit to the progressive overload thing with the training and stuff, I think, especially early in people's careers, they get confused on what that even means, right? Because they like, I know Niall's going to connect with this one, but like, progressive overload has, like, if you look it up in the dictionary, there's going to be a picture of JP, right? Like, JP is there, and he is the epitome of progressive overload. And like, the dude's very popular. He's very intelligent. And he's built a crazy thick physique, and he has kind of taken that progressive overload and embodied it, right? But now the problem is that the kids who haven't built the foundation that JP did in the first place are now trying to do what he's doing, and it doesn't work that way. And I literally, on a regular basis, am telling kids in their early 20s, like, hey, you don't need to keep adding weight just because you got 6 reps with that last week. Like you can do a little bit higher reps, man. I promise. Like, so it's yeah, I think people just get really confused on what progressive overload means, especially when you tell them something like get better connection, because there's nothing, you can't write that in a logbook. There's no way to write that down of like, oh, my connection was this. There's no rating system for that other than like your own brain going, I felt that pretty fucking good today.
Yeah,
You know, so it's way more difficult to teach somebody the intangible of this and like ride that line between being JP using the heaviest weight you possibly can and then being the little kid that's squeezing his pink dumbbells as hard as he can. You know, it's like we don't need to be on either one of those spectrums. We got to find that happy middle ground in the middle.
And like you see both, man. Like, going to commercial gyms now. Again, because in Abilene we don't have. I have one gym that I train at. That's my main gym, which is it's pretty, actually. It's a dope gym out here. Surprisingly, but it's more so like athlete based for like the guys and girls from ACU, from the football team and stuff like that. So it's not like pure bodybuilding at all. And then the other option we have is like a crunch that's like run down and old. So sometimes I go to the crunch just because some of the leg stuff feels better. A lot of the stuff at the field house that I go to is like multi-use, so the range of motion is off and stuff like that.
Mm.
So like when I go to dude, it's crazy, and it's like what you're saying. These younger kids that are watching TikTok and stuff like that, they'll see me or a bigger guy in the gym, and they're like, "Hey, can you come spot me, man?" And I'll be like, "Sure." And then you go spot them, and it's like they're doing 4 reps with on a leg press, and it's like they're using more weight than I ever probably have on a leg press, and they're like 18 years old, and they're
Mhm.
doing the 3 rep, 4 rep thing, and I'm like screaming in my head, like, dude, you don't need to do that. Like, have you ever heard of 10 plus reps? Like, ever? Like that was kind of the bodybuilding thing, was the 10 plus rep
Yeah.
range, and now it just seems like that's completely out the window. Like, it's just crazy. Like, even guys hear about like Jared, or like, Jared Feather's training, because I'm cool with Jared, so I talk with him all the time. Jared Feather, Nick Walker, Hosema's doing that training now. And it's like these guys are training in the 10 plus rep range all the time. Like Nick's talked about it a lot, is training, in that higher rep range, 12 to 15 on a lot of his movements. And he's made insane progress. And he's like, man, I may be using less weight because it's a little bit more taxing and more volume, and that muscle's getting pumped more. But he's like, I don't feel my joint fatigue. I don't feel anything hurting. And all I get is positives. And,
Yep.
you progress like crazy.
you probably connect with it really well too. I
Yeah.
know I've noticed that, doing a higher rep range, you have way better connection. And I mean, now, like, what have you felt a difference in doing a higher rep range versus the lower rep range? And what is like your rep range in your training typically?
I mean, I always have like a low rep range in general for like my heaviest sets, but you know, I'm at a completely different place to someone like Nick Walker, right? Like
Yeah.
he has so much muscle. I think if he wanted to do like 3 or 4 reps, he's just not going to be able to in most gyms, right? He's probably going to need custom made machines because he has that much muscle. You know, it's like if he has so much muscle on one body part, of course he's going to be ridiculously strong if he really tries. But you know, we don't train just to be strong at a certain exercise. You know, we train for the development of a body part. It's like we can all do like a bicep curl with a ridiculously heavy dumbbell, and we can like, turn it into like a deadlift or something. Like, or, you can do it however you want to do it to finish the movement, but it probably won't involve that much of your bicep if you go heavy enough. But yeah, like with me, it's like I said, it's low rep range. Like I do usually do like around 6 to 9 reps for my first set, but like I will go to that 9, and sometimes I'll spend weeks there, with like a before I go back to 6. And then usually like I'll have like a second set of like 10 to 14, and the same thing, like I'll sometimes spend on it when that number gets to like 13 or 14, like trying to get to 14 reps. Like I might have like 4 weeks just trying to add that because it's just harder. Like, it's much harder to do 13 reps and get to 14 than it is, from 6 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, so do you see that same kind of thing in the gyms in the UK there with like just the kids just trying to emulate JP?
Yeah, it's even worse because like my gyms are pretty well kitted out, so they'll be like I'll just watch people like dropping prime machines, like dropping the handles, and I'm just like, the gym that machine costs more than your car. Like, please, man, we're not
We
getting another one if you break
Yeah,
that.
we've got all the same stuff out here at Destination, and like we've had to tell a couple of kids, like, dude, stop using the gym pin. Like, you do not need the whole stack on a lateral raise plus multiple plates on a gym pin. Like, you're just gonna mess our machine up. And I think people have forgotten that like intensity and volume can just kind of do this. They can just go back and forth, like not every single exercise needs to be this all out death race to see like how much weight can I lateral raise to the side. It's like that doesn't really make a lot of sense. You can make up a lot of that intensity by doing wait, don't let me scare everyone. 4 sets, 5 sets. Like you can do some more sets, especially on something like arms and shoulders that are used to doing a lot of stuff. Like you don't, it like, I don't know about you guys. Anytime I try to train arms heavy, my elbows fucking hurt. Like if I try to do like 8, 10 reps with something that I can curl or tricep extension, like no shit just hurts. I don't get any more arms out of it.
Yeah, especially tricep stuff. I've noticed the same thing.
Mhm.
Like, and don't get me wrong, like my triceps they're a strong point. They've always just been stupid strong. So like I can stand on a push down with an easy bar push down on most cables and just stack it out and go. But it's like, yeah, I'll get 10 reps or 8 reps, whatever. I feel that shit like right after, like right in my elbow. So like I've noticed if I stay 10 plus at least on most of my arm movements, I get the same, if not better benefits from it than, trying to do a 6 to 8 in my arm stuff, or
Yep.
same thing with my delts. Like, I've even experienced, I do most of my stuff like kind of like Niall was saying, like top set back off style. So lower rep range and then a higher rep range for the back off. But, with delts and arms and stuff like that, I've kind of gone back to more of like just progressing up in weight each set and doing like 3, 4, sometimes even 5 sets if it feels good. And just really, taxing the delts and the arms because they're used to that volume and they can handle it.
Yep.
So, and I really like that approach, to be honest, because I'm not tracking my side raises, trying to gym pin the the side raise machine every week.
Yeah. So we're coming up on almost an hour and a half, and I'm sure Niall's ready to go to bed before long. But to finish out the episode, let's just do a quick little like top 5 of your classic physique since we got the Olympia coming up. Niall, I know you're in the Olympia this year, so if you don't want to if you want to sit this round out, you certainly can.
I was gonna say
We'll
I'll
take it
sit
then.
I'll sit the classic one out.
We can do that.
I do
We
want to
can
ask
do that.
now, like, how are you feeling right now? Just real quick, how you feeling right now? You're what, 2 weeks out from Olympia? This is your second run, right?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident, bro. I mean, I couldn't really have asked for a better show to win. You know what I mean? Like it was winning against a guy that placed ninth, and it was a good battle, and the feedback I got as well wasn't like, it wasn't like dramatic feedback for the Olympia. It's like fine tuning. So to kind of know that I'm at a point in my career where I mean, as well, Tyler told me to go to this Olympia and don't try and go to like, you know, try and get like eighth or ninth or something. He's like, with this physique that you have now, you should be trying to fight as hard to win it as, Ramon and Mike and everyone else is. Like, that's where you're at now. So, yeah, I'm feeling confident, man.
I agree, 100%.
Jarek, you want to kick off your top 5, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, can you bring it up?
Yes, I can. This is a fucking list, so we're gonna scroll for a second.
Wait, we're talking about top 5 Olympia or top 5 for San Diego?
Let's do the Olympia. We're 2 weeks out from the Olympia. Let's do the Olympia.
I was gonna ask that too. I was like, which one we doing?
Okay.
Let's start talking about some Olympia here.
Okay, all right. So, off the top right now, I have. Oh, this is tough, man. Oh my God, this is tough. A lot of these guys, I know a lot of these guys, and I'm cool like this.
Are we doing particular order too, like one
You
to
can just
five?
we'll throw out top 5 so we don't put anybody in
Okay.
a particular order.
Okay, all
We'll
right.
do
So
that.
right, so we'll say Rough, Mike. That's 2. Man, honestly, man, I think Niall's a sleeper, bro. I think Niall has the most distinct structure on the Olympia stage this year. So I'll go with Niall in the top 5. That's 3.
You got 2 more. You got Menegate, Piotr, Logan.
Ooh. Damn, this is tough. I'll say Ramon. I gotta choose Ramon.
Yeah.
I gotta choose Ramon. It only makes sense.
And who's the last one?
Last one. Scroll up, scroll up.
That's the top.
I'm gonna have to go with Justin Batterina is definitely impressive. I'm not even gonna lie. Justin is very impressive. I don't think top 5 yet. Scroll down. I see my last place. I just want to see what was at the top. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. And we'll go with Logan.
Solid.
I mean,
Jay?
played second against Mike at the Arnold, and he looked really, really good. He pushed Mike.
Yep.
If he's on, he got to be in top 5.
Jay, what you got?
All right, so I'm gonna go with Mike, obviously. Go with Ruff. I'm gonna go with Osema. Ramon.
Dealing with shapes now. Hey, you got top 5. Hey, all right now. This is Olympia. This ain't New York.
Hey, I know. I'm just saying, off of that, the Pittsburgh and New York with Osema, and I just think that freak factor is I mean, obviously they like it, so I think it's gonna get him far. And he was already on the cusp last year. So I think between Osema, Matt Grego, and Matthias, I think those are all kind of interchangeable in that top 5. And then I'm definitely gonna go with Niall. I just think, again, like you were saying, that he has probably the most pretty distinct shape on that stage. That X frame is like second to none. So I think that'll expose a lot of guys, and I think that could expose somebody like Hosema with a little bit of a structure issue and stuff like that, maybe.
Yep.
100%. I think it's hard to just like your eyes kind of gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
It's hard not to look at that small waist and like the way your body has like the striations like everywhere. It's like it's hard not to look at. But yeah, I agree there. So,
about you, Nick?
So I'm gonna say Terrence, Mike, Logan, Niall, and then just to be different and kind of switch this up a little bit, I'm gonna put this Piotr kid in there, the kid that just qualified a couple weeks ago. I think he's a sleeper.
He looked crazy, man.
I think he's a little bit bigger than we might think he is. I think his structure and the way he poses and how conditioned he was, I think he's gonna sneak up. I think he's gonna sneak up on some people.
Listen, man, this top 5 is gonna be something, because honestly, if you're in the top 10, pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
You know
Niall already,
for real. Yeah.
Niall already said it. There's 30 guys we want to put in the top 15.
Yeah.
So. But hey, guys, we're coming up on an hour and a half now, and I'm sure Niall's ready to go to bed at this point. But Jay, Niall, we both appreciate you very much coming on and spend some time with us. If you guys want to shout out your Instagrams and stuff, I pulled them up earlier. But if y'all want to shout them out here at the end, we can do that right quick.
So I'm just One Punch Naz on all social media platforms.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I just like the anime One Punch Man when I made my Instagram. That was it. People call me Naz like instead of Niall, so I just put the two together. That was
perfect.
Yeah.
And then Jay, yours is
just Jay Yount _ on Instagram, and then just shout out my sponsors and especially Hostile.
Oh yeah. He's got his own podcast. He can fucking promote it.
Hey, well, Nas, I'll see you in Vegas, man. I'll be in
Yeah,
Vegas, man.
bro.
Yep. I'll be out there the whole week. So I'm flying out
Awesome, man.
Monday, and I've got Zach in the Amateur Olympia. So I'll be out there Monday and then be there the whole week. So I'll see you guys there as well. But everybody who is watching, thank you as always. Please leave some comments down below. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see next time, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Appreciate y'all. It was fun.